first of what I hope will be many videos that I'll be doing, focusing on the aesthetics, what makes a bike hot, hypnotic, why is it that we like staring at them when we see them go past us. My name's Anthony, and I've got 15 years experience in all kinds of design that I've done, and I want to use sort of my interest in sports bikes to give you a different point of view on why I think sports bikes are hot and why we like to own them. A lot of you have done videos on the performance, how fast they go, the different features. I'm not going to be touching any of that in my videos because you guys have done such an amazing job on that. I've watched so many YouTube videos on motorcycles and my brain is exploding with performance and stats. I want to do something different for you. I just want to look purely at the aesthetic. And for the first video, I'm going to focus on one of my favorite bikes to come out of Japan, which is the R1. We're not going to be just looking at the 2014 model. We'll look at the whole gamut, starting in with the release starting back in 2009. So subscribe if you want to watch more videos from motorcycle design. If you like this video, please like it. And heck, if you've got a sports bike, you could request me to do a review on it. Drop me some comments below and let's talk about it. Alright, so let's get started, shall we? So the lineage began in 2009 when Yamaha first created the new look R1, and it runs all the way to 2014 until 2015, which, as you know, is when they changed the look under the guidance of Rossi. So pretty much it didn't shift. I love it. It's consistent throughout the entire 5 years. You can see here that it began really much as a closed shape in the eye socket where the air rams and the headlamps are positioned, and then later, sort of 2013, 2014, it became an open shape, and that's really the modern style that's been applied to it. But other than that, when you look at the front huggers, the rear vision mirrors, the bubble, everything is the same. The only other thing, I suppose, is obviously the colour, but the noticeable difference, it's only a small detail, is the change in the typography of the lettering of R1, which happened sometime in 2013, 2014. Now the front is probably the most iconic component of the bike. There's no doubt that when you look at this, it's an R1. It's really hard to confuse this bike with any other bike. The shape really belongs to this model. And I think even in the night time, when the shape of the bike is not so visible, I can tell it's an R1 just by the space of the headlamps. And indeed, they do look like a set of eyes. Even in this shot, it actually looks like the bike is looking up at the audience. Look at the detail of the lamp, the smaller lights here, and then the LEDs that run along the rim of the eye socket. Absolutely spectacular, very nice, very wide at the front. It is an inline 4, so it lets in a lot of air. These air rams collect air and then push that into the motor as well. It's definitely looks good. Even in the 3/4 view, profile view, you can catch a glimpse of those eye sockets, iconic to the shape of the R1. Now I think you can say a lot about the way a bike can be customed, and bikes which allow the owners to customize them rate really highly in my books. And for the R1, I would begin with the headlamps because, like for example, these angel lights really make this bike come alive. These ones in particular are reminiscent of an owl. I think one of the reasons why this car was so successful is the way that the front of the car looks like the beak of a bird, and this sort of way that it draws from nature around us gives us a way to, as human beings, to look into and connect immediately with the front of the vehicle, and I think the R1 accomplishes this as well. In fact, even on the track version, when you remove the headlamps, the design is still fantastic. These air rams still look really good even without the headlamp. Look at the custom colors, they look fantastic. Really nice use of red on this one. I think it's a little bit extreme for my taste, but I love what they've done with the eye sockets. They've taken away the black recessed look, made it white, and then made the pupils black to make them pop out, which just makes the whole eyes in the sockets really quite fierce. I believe this is a bike that's owned by the V-logger Watanosity, and I love what he's done with his R1 with the 4 pipes at the rear and the red inlay that's been done around here. It just makes the bike look like it has an interior and an exterior. It's fantastic. Okay, let's take a look at the profile of the bike. Nothing particularly interesting or eye-catching. Like a lot of Japanese bikes, the fairing doesn't cover a lot of the area and will leave a lot of the motor exposed. There's a lot of individual components in here. It's very complicated on the eye. No interesting, okay, there's a cavity here in the swing arm, I suppose, but even the exhaust stacks is not very interesting. They're covered by this very practical heat shield. You can't really see the cans, you can't see the pipe work because of all the heat shields. So it's just the profile. Now it's not very interesting. In fact, even the other side is equally as boring. It's good about the profile is the Yamaha logo, because of all the bike manufacturers, the Yamaha logo is really effective. It's simple, reduces into a small space. Okay, let's look at the tail section. So what's interesting is this sort of triangle shape they're using for the rear brake lamp. And unfortunately, this shape really doesn't connect with anything else on the bike. For me, it was just like, okay, we've got this cavity in here to fill, the triangle fills it, so let's just put a triangle in there, but it really doesn't make much connection to the rest of the bike. These ones, I believe, are not the stock. These are the aftermarket pipes. But actually, the originals don't look too bad in the sense that at least they've got a sort of like a little bit of a chamfer on them, a bit of shape that gives the bike. But there's nothing about the tail or the tail section that's particularly memorable. Perhaps some of the aftermarket components look much better. I haven't seen anything that really has struck my eye. Now, the colour. Now, unfortunately, the colours that this bike is shipped with are not so cool, except the black. I've seen one of these in the flesh in black, and it's difficult to see in the picture here. But the way that these different surfaces have been painted with different kinds of blacks with different finishes really make this bike come to life. The blue, for me, just doesn't do it at all, nor does the red. The red is quite dark and it clashes with the black. It simply doesn't have enough tonal difference. So I think black is definitely the way to go. The dash is not so bad. It's one of these old school dashes that I have the analog rev counter and then try to then integrate that with a digital. I know a lot of guys out there like this setup. What I find is that when I look at this console, I don't know what I'm supposed to look at, and every time I'm staring at it, it's like, where do you want me to look at? There's just so much going on that I'm sure that there is. In fact, I've seen dashes, for example, the Panigale 899, or even the Honda CBR 1000, or even the Honda Grom 125, have just got much better design. For us as motorcycle riders, we don't see that much of this, because when you're riding the bike, what you're looking at a lot of the times is this, and the bubble, of course. So let's have a look. So this is the close-up. This is a slightly sort of more pullback shot. More pullback shot, and then more pullback shot. So yeah, the way that this is just compounded and layered, it looks like a pizza. I mean, I know they've cut these out to reduce weight, but it just doesn't look very nice. I've sat on one of these and I've stared into this section as well just to see what it looks like. It just, the controls and everything just do not look like something very modern. The cockpit really hasn't caught up with the rest of the design of the bike. The rest of the design in the engine and certainly on the skin is really beautiful. But when you're sitting in the cockpit, it just feels like you're in a different bike. Like, hey, hang on. This part doesn't go with the rest of what I've just seen. Okay, so now it's time to score the bike, and I gave it 23 out of 30 across 6 different dimensions, including hypnotic index. I'll come to that in just a minute. But of all the 6 dimensions, it scored perfectly in 3. Obviously the front, tail not so much, profile was pretty average, and the dash was, as we talked about, complete back to the past. And the customization of the bike was exceptional. Now, what is the hypnotic index? That's like how memorable it is, how sexy, its charisma, and it got 5 out of 5. So thanks very much for tuning in. Subscribe if you want to watch more videos from motorcycle design. Like if you like it, and of course if you've got a bike that you want me to review, drop me a comment and I'll see what I can do.